I'm your host, Shammond Williams, and we have none other than one of your greatest Carolina basketball players. Uh, he hails from North Babylon, New York. He was a 2005 McDonald's All-American, and he was also, if I'm not mistaken, 2009
Yep.
national champion at the University of North Carolina. But more importantly, he's one of the most decorated NBA basketball players, but one of the most decorated North Carolina basketball players. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Danny Green.
I appreciate it, man. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm surprised you knew all that, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. But yeah, North Babylon, New York is right. Years
Oh,
ago, 2005, 2009. Yeah, so yeah, you
yeah,
got the years right, man. It's pretty good.
yeah,
It's good
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's my job to know my little brothers. You know what I mean? Like I,
for
I
sure.
have a lot of other stuff too that I remember, but
Definitely.
we'll keep it at that. But Danny, man, you've done a great job in your professional career. But the most important thing I think a lot of people don't understand is who you are as a person. And
Hmm.
a lot of people get to celebrate you, but they don't know the road that you've traveled. They don't know the adversity that you've been through, and to be where you are today, man. For me, it's like I'm just, as they say, I'm tickled pink. As they say, I'm tickled pink because I'm just proud of it because like a lot of things that you've endured and come out of. It says a lot about you as a person and what you stand for as a man. And
Thank you.
I think a lot of people, a lot of kids need to know that, how selfless you were and so on and so forth. So, I'm gonna start off by, you know, what made you go to the University of North Carolina?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. You're one of the guys I always looked up to, man. So for you to be proud of me says a lot, man. It's one of the most humbling things in the, not just the sport of basketball, but in life, man. Because you've been an ideal role model for everybody that's come through Carolina. But since I was a kid, man, and I have to give credit to my support system, the people around me, and my dad who raised me. Obviously, my mom was there too for a good amount of it. My dad was a sports guy and raised me, and we kind of grew up with him. They separated probably at an early age. We were like 11 and 12, me and my brother. But he was a sports guy. He was a coach. He was a fan of the game and very passionate about it. If I can give you any type of picture or, I guess, breakdown or imagination or some type of image of him, I'm thinking he was hard on us, but he's like I guess he got game. Jake
Right,
Shuttlesworth.
right,
So back then it was a little different. Parents allowed to be a little more physical, be a little more hard on their kids. There wasn't no problems about it. So, but he loved the game. He introduced the game to me at a very young age. I picked up a ball probably before the age of 5, around 2, 3 years old. A little Fisher Price for him, and then started playing little league around 5 years old.
right,
But he was always a fan of Carolina. He was a fan of all great sports teams.
right.
But growing up, I grew up watching a lot of you guys. Stack, Vince, Twan. So I always was a Carolina fan since I was young, since I can remember. So when an opportunity came for me to get recruited by them, I was already wooed, and I was like, if I can go there, I don't care. I just want to go. I obviously believed in myself and think I could play anywhere.
No
But
question.
once when Carolina Blue Colors came to recruit me, it was over for me. Every other school that was recruiting me it was a wrap. So
Right.
I said I've been a fan since day one, since I was a little kid. There's pictures of me in jerseys when I was younger, with the Carolina jersey on. So yeah, it was an easy decision once they came in. So we had a couple other good schools, even though I was closer to New York too.
Right.
But once they came in, it was an easy decision for me, man.
Okay. Okay. So I didn't know that you were a fan or a lifer of the University of North Carolina, but it makes sense. I know we were very ecstatic to have you. I remember the first day you walked on campus and being in the gym. You came in the gym. I looked. I said, "My goodness!" I said, "He has a great body, but he has a distinct look." And everybody was kind of whooped, like, he's a little pigeon toed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't find too many great players that feet are invert just a little bit. But
Hmm.
but once we began to play, we. I think a few of us ended up having a conversation. I said, "Hey, man, I like the kid Green. I mean, he just does so many things, and 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 that was important, because I was never a superstar, so I kind of like the guys, and I can't call you underdog because you're a McDonald's
Yeah.
American, but I was like, say, man, this kid here, he's a little different. He's a little different, and I liked his demeanor. You know what I mean? It wasn't
For
like,
sure.
you just carried yourself like, hey, you know what? Wherever I can fit in, I'm gonna fit in. And I think that's why you got to play a lot as a freshman. Like a lot of people don't know, freshmen don't get to play pickup at Carolina. A lot,
Definitely. Definitely.
you know what I
Definitely.
mean? But everybody liked you.
For sure. I was very fortunate, man, to have you guys to help groom me. They also said keep a lot of us humble, but I came in humble, said I was always the guy. I never was recruited highly. They were, who's a little bow-legged kid over there, bow-legged pigeon coat. But I tried to do all the intangibles because I wasn't the most talented. So I had to work on those things first. That's why I had to be good at everything. And then later on, try to find my niche and try to be great at something. But I said I came from the humble beginnings where I had to make a name for myself. Growing up in New York, Long Island, you don't get that respect in the city. So in order to get your name known out in other boroughs, you had to go in with a chip on your shoulder.
That's
everybody
right.
try to punk you. New York was different back then.
Yeah.
I had to learn those intangibles and do the other little stuff first and be great at those before I could be great at anything else.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it was awesome. For a lot of people that may not know, who are the other players that you played with here at North Carolina? Some of the notable
Oh,
players.
my guys, my brothers, man. I came in with the class 2005. It was me, Bobby Fraser, Marcus Ginyard, Tyler Hansborough, Mike Copeland. Those are my brothers. And then behind us, they had a hell of a class to come behind us. Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, Deion Thompson, Alex Stevenson, who ended up transferring, Brandon Wright, who ended up leaving after his first year. And I think there was somebody else that might have came in with them. They had Will Graves. They had a big class. So we played with those guys, with my brothers. And before, it's in my freshman year, our seniors, David Noel was a senior, Wes Miller, I got a chance to play with him. Rayshon Terry was a junior at the time, played with him a couple of years. Quentin Thomas. So those are my older brothers, but the younger brothers was Ty Lawson, Wayne, and all those guys. And behind us, we had Tyler Zeller, Ed Davis, Larry Drew was there for a little bit. We had a group, man, of guys that I said throughout those 4 years. I played 4 years. That some my older brothers, younger brothers that I got a chance to really know well and bond with. They had some great years. A couple Final Fours. Fortunate enough, a couple ACC titles. I was fortunate enough to do that with some of those guys, but I was never the first option, so it made it easier for me to adapt and adjust to the NBA. Because I was used to being a role player and finding and embracing that, even at Carolina, because it was Tyler, obviously first option, Ty Lawson, Wayne on the wing, and we had Deion, and we had Ed Davis, Tyler Zeller coming off the bench for us. So we had Larry Drew coming off the bench. We had a lot of talented guys on our group.
And so I'm gonna talk about that for a minute, but how was it? How was it? Tell me your most memorable instance with let's go with Hansborough. Let's go with Hansborough. What stands out in your mind of the most memorable thing that
that comes to mind?
You experienced with that individual.
I just remember us in high school, like his team. I knew we were going to school together. They were talking about. Back then there wasn't social media. You didn't get a chance to see highlights. You didn't get to see everybody play. You just hear about them. I say back then like I'm old, but yes, back then. So just newspaper. His team had beaten the number one team in the country. And our team, my high school team, number 2 in the country. We had a chance to move up to number 1, but we ended up losing. But I heard so many great things about him. Seen him at the McDonald American game, and he had a distinct look too. But I just remember him not talking that much, but just being a bull. He was just a bull from day one. He came in with just intense, aggressive with everything he did, on and off the court. I just remember him, just enforcing his will on the game. But there's so many different instances, so many different memories, the stories. I was a roommate of his. We lived together for about 3 out of the 4 years that I was at Carolina. So I got a chance to know him well on and off the court. Him and Bob were close, socially. He was still learning the campus. He's small town in Missouri. So it was different for him being in Chapel Hill and being the face of basketball, being a god at Carolina. It was an adjustment for him. But he did it well, man. He did everything. He became the face and he handled it. He didn't, do a lot of partying. He was so focused on his body and his body at work that he didn't. I think he probably could have enjoyed college a little more.
Right.
during the time. But, he wanted to be great, and he did,
Yeah.
and he gave himself an opportunity. But I remember at the games as our freshman year, him taking over and winning at Duke. We ruined a couple senior nights over there at Duke, and him being
Right.
the main
Right.
guy. Just so many great memories of that guy, man, of taking over games, helping us win big games. And as us being the underdog when we were freshmen, winning some games, playing against Kenny George, 7'6" guy, playing against so many different athletes and so many different big names and talents. Where we should have had no chance of winning games, but because of how hard he played, got to the free throw line, he put us in position, man, to win some big ones. So those are memories I'll never forget of him, and all of my brothers that I played with had some great memories and moments on and off the court.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys had a great team. And like you said before, you played with some outstanding players. Tyler being the national player of the year in one of those years. But, the one thing that I think that you and I have in common is most definitely having to play a role.
Mm-hmm.
And playing that role and being the best that you can be in that role. But, what was your thought process when you felt like, because I felt like there was a time when you could have exploded in that environment, and rightfully so. It may have not been the best thing for the team, but it may have been the best thing for Danny Green at the point. But what were the things that you had to fight within yourself? Because those who have been in that position before understand, hey, you know what? There's some internal fighting that you have to do within yourself to do what's right for the program, but also want to put yourself in a position that you can reap the reward of the hard work that you've put in.
For sure, man. And that started with high school, man. I have to credit my high school coach. He was a perfectionist and he was amazing. Big shout out to Tim Clues, Coach Clues. He taught me early on, and it's not about me. And, everybody's like, every player goes through that phase where you're like, you know what, I'm the best on the team. I definitely show my talent. Why is coach holding me back? And you think coach is holding you back. It's really not coach holding you back. He's putting you in a position for you and your teammates to be successful and for y'all to win. Right. And once you understand that early, you'll see the bigger picture. You don't really care about getting the individual credit. You want to win. Obviously, you want to get notoriety. You want to get, but you can do that still. When we win, everybody gets noticed. Everybody gets to eat. Right. So my high school coach was great at that. We had a lot of Division I players on my high school team. That I didn't average over 20 points. I didn't average more than 10, 15 shots a game. I wasn't getting 20, 25 shots a game. I was getting maybe 15 shots. 20 shots for me was a lot on a night, so it was spread out. We had a lot of talented players.
15 sound good too, though. 15 sound good, though.
15 do sound good. Trust me, 15 too. But back then, I was playing with like my McDonald American guys that were like Monte Ellis, Lou Will, averaging 40. They had the video game numbers. So I'm like, how the hell is he averaging 47? I'm like, there's no way.
Video game with
exactly. You don't see those numbers anymore. And mind you, couldn't see the highlights. You just hear about newspapers and stuff like that. Getting 10 to 15 attempts between that, I was average about 12 to 14 attempts in high school, allowed me to understand and kind of embrace that, but also not get too big headed and understand the bigger picture of also us winning. It helps not just me but our team and my teammates. And that started at the early age. My dad teach me to be humble, being selfless. And of course, each coach that I play with, being selfless. It's not just about me. You got to think of your teammates as well, and also the game. And it's a chess game. You don't want to you figure out times when you attack and when you want to score. When you can get that down, and the game comes easy, and you can slow the game down for yourself. Then you're at a professional level, or you're ahead of your time, or above your talent around you. It was easy for me to adjust to that when I got to Carolina. Obviously, I played some my freshman year, didn't play much my sophomore year, played a lot more my junior year, and obviously thought I could have. I was like, I didn't start to my senior year, and I was obviously junior year, like, oh, coach told me back, I should be starting, I should be getting more. I don't get plays. Even now, everybody's like, I don't get plays run for me. I still get in rhythm, but it's really not about me. I'm here to figure it out for my teammates and make the job easier for LeBron and AD, and be a source around them so that they don't get double teamed. Or if they do, that I'm able to capitalize on it, or just for us to win games, do the intangibles. And you can be very successful at that, and you can win games, and also when you win championships, and you also make a great living doing that. So I've learned that, I've noticed that, and I just continue to go with that mantra and just stayed on that path.
Yeah. I tend to tell kids now, I've been blessed enough to work, I have a few kids that are in the NBA right now. Mitchell Robinson, I've worked with Zion Williamson. The kid Colin Sexton was the first person to offer him, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of other kids that I've been working with that are top 50, like you were, top 100 in America. And I always tell them, I say, well, I know that you think you're like LeBron, but you're more like Shammond.
Yeah, for sure.
So you need to learn how to not only be, it's okay to be talented, but know how to play a role, because that allows you to be diverse. That allows you to fit in a lot of give you a lot of opportunities, fit in a lot of different environments where you could be a part of something bigger than yourself. And so,
Sure.
it's interesting to hear that. So, being bigger than yourself, though, then it allowed you to win the national championship. So how was it winning that national championship? I never got to
Oh
win a
man.
national championship. I played in 3 Final Fours, but I never won
Wow.
the national championship. So I was I'm not envious, but I was extremely happy. And I said, hey, these guys have outdone me. Proud of them.
Yeah,
I'm proud of
man.
them.
Thank you, man. It was a hell of an experience, man, because we went to the Final Four previous and lost.
Mhm.
We got our butts kicked by Kansas. So be able to set each year for my freshman year to go a little further and to end on a note like that my senior year was the ultimate satisfaction that you can, where you can be like, all right, just like I tell everybody when I win an NBA title, how does it feel? It feels like, I've achieved everything I could dreamed of as a kid. And at
Right.
this point in my career, I could probably retire a happy man. You know what I'm saying?
Great.
So, but at that point, it was ultimate just being my brothers there, have my family there, family members that I didn't think I didn't think would be able to make it there because I was going through things on and off the court with my dad, my family back home. So I was lucky enough to have my dad there and be able to support me and watch me play and win a championship with my brothers that I've been there for 4 years. So it was the ultimate satisfaction, man. It's hard to put in words. Instant gratification, surreal moment. There's so many ways to describe it, but it's hard to describe a feeling like that. The moment that you dreamed of since you were, a little kid, probably 5 years old in the backyard, counting down 5, 4, 3, and they win a championship. Watching NCAA championships, NBA championships, to actually experience that, man. I said it's just the ultimate satisfaction for a competitor on any level.
No question, man. I was extremely proud and happy for you. I mean, like I said, you had, like I said before, a lot of times, people don't watch the whole story. They don't get to see the production. They just get to watch the movie. And so me being there every summer, I got to see the production. And like I said before, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad thing, but I could feel you. You know what I mean? I just, everybody's experience is a little different, but the experience that I felt like you were experiencing, I said, hey, you know what? I feel him. And so, what can I do to try to help him be stronger and focus? Hey, you know what? It's going to be all right. It's going to work out all right. And thank the Lord. I mean, you look where you are today. And I mean, it's just, everything Coach did, he did it the right way.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And
so
everybody knows
I'm happy in that regard for you. So.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I said everybody knows it's not easy to play for Coach, but he said he does everything for the right reason. He does everything for the right reasons. And that moment, those times, help condition me for life, not just for basketball, but life after basketball, life after college, being in the real world. But yeah, everybody knows, everybody goes through it, different times, different phases. And you could feel that energy through certain people. And you're like, I can feel his struggle. I can feel this.
Yeah.
But you guys were a big part of helping me grow and helping me embrace that and mentally being, tough enough and have tough enough skin. So I'll take criticism. So be ready for the real world, but also being prepared for any other coach outside of that. Pop, there's no preparation for that, but Coach Williams was the only guy that I can think of or the only coach in the world in college probably that could prepare me for that scenario of being able to play for Pop, because he's not easy to play for either. Tough-minded coaches. So playing for Coach, very similar to Pop, just another level.
Yeah,
they prepared me for not just basketball, but for life, and everything going on around us. Like today, what's going on with the social justice things, how we're always a step behind, how we're always behind, or everybody gets, a head start on us, and we have to fight from behind. We have to do 10 times more to get noticed, 10 times more to get the job, or, so on and so forth. So I said, we know how it goes when we're at school.
Yeah.
So coach prepared us not just for basketball, but for life.
No question. No question. And so, you know, as we transition into your professional career, I mean, in 2009, being drafted by the Cavs, number 46 in the draft, one thing that you and I do have in common, again, other than that championship, we both were drafted in the second round. And so, you know, being in that environment and trying to establish yourself, and more importantly, like any other thing, just want an opportunity.
For sure. I was just draft night is kind of a love-hate type of thing. I think everybody draft night outside of number one is disappointed because everybody thinks they should have been number one. And if you don't think you're number one, you should have been lottery. But I was happy for my brothers. I seen them all go on some of them going to lottery, a lot of them first round. But you know, you don't go first round, so you're a little disappointed. But the fact that I got drafted by Cleveland, where they had Bron and James and a Shaq there at the time, I was excited about that. So I was excited, but at the same time disappointed. Like, you know, a lot of these teams passed up on me. A lot of teams don't believe in me. Even Cleveland passed them in first round. But they did that for a reason. You know, obviously business, you start to understand it later, money play and how things work in and tie in. But, you know, you're like, man, a lot of these teams, you know, give up and they don't think I'm good enough. So you go in as a second rounder with a chip on your shoulder, especially a lot of those guys you worked out with that was drafted first round. You probably had decent draft workouts against. So you go in, but you said, I was excited. I said, my dad was like, he originally told me, you know, go out there, shake, you know, it was at the time, it wasn't Adam Silver, but David Stern. So he was like, go shake David Stern's hand. And I was like, there's no guarantee, Dad, that I'm going to be number one. Like, he always thought positive. He's like, yo, you're going to be this, that. Rest in peace, David Stern. But he was like, go up there and shake David Stern's hand. Or Adam, because I think Adam Silver did the second round. But he's like, go shake David. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to show up to the draft and then wait there forever and then be drafted second round. You know, I don't want to embarrass myself. You know, as a kid, you think but you're top 60 in the world. There's nothing embarrassing about it at all. The world. So it's like, you know, but as a youngster, you're like, man, I want to be, if I'm not number one, if I'm not in the first round, if not lottery, I'm not going to be waiting in that, you know, arena for, you know, second round. I'm embarrassed myself. But my friends were excited about me. We had a little party. I remember like it was yesterday. I missed my first two flights. I missed my first flight to Cleveland. I was in the airport. I fell asleep at the gate. The gate closed on me as I woke up. I'm like, damn, I need to make this flight. And then I went home because I didn't bring enough clothes. They're like, we need you here for the whole summer. You know, back then, once you get drafted, you go and you're there the whole summer till summer league. And I'm like, I didn't bring clothes. I need to find a place to live. I didn't bring clothes for this whole. Well, go back, get your clothes. I remember went back with my clothes, missed another flight again. I was like, damn, they're probably going to cut me, man. But I remember every workout from being drafted second round when I got there, because they had a first round pick, Christian Nyanga. He was overseas kid, young, high, very athletic, but high potential. And they drafted him in the first round. And I'm like, all right, I wonder what they see in this kid that they don't see in me. And I'm going to show them why I should have been the pick in front of them. Also to the other teams, if I ever play in the summer league, I'm gonna show these teams why they should have passed up on me. That's every second round. I feel like chip on the shoulder mindset. Sure. You know, I'm gonna prove everybody, yeah, you guys should have passed up on me. So I remember killing it in my workouts. Even though I was missing my flights, I was like, damn, be cut. But my workouts, I shot ball very well, and I was killing the work. I was doing very well. Like, this kid can really shoot it. We know he's good at everything. We didn't know he was great at this. He can really be this type of piece for us. But I also remember being very humbled my first game, you know, coming in, thinking I'm going to, you know, get some minutes. I played in practice, playing with LeBron, show that I'm skillful. Come in, they're like, you're inactive today. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, you need to be in a sport coat on the sideline. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't bring a sport coat. Well, you go home, get your sport coat. I had to drive back to home from the arena, get my sport coat, come back in, and realize I was not playing. And I did that for most of the season, my rookie year. But I just worked. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep that mindset. I'm going to get the opportunity. When I do get it, I'm going to run with it. So I'm going to work out every day. I lifted, worked with my ball handle every day, worked with my shooting every day. And in practice, those are my games for me. So I pushed those guys in practice and showed them that I was talented. And I had a lot of fun, man. Learned a lot, but I had a lot of fun playing against those guys where I would, you know, go at Bron some, go at, you know, Anthony Parker was there, Jamario Moon, Delonte West. We had, you know, Boobie Gibson, Mo Williams. We went out every day. I got a chance to learn from them, but go at them every day and have my games in practice. We had a younger team and we also had younger coaching staff where I got a chance to play with them as well. So every day was something. But I remember that mindset after being drafted of being excited, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of work to be done, and I have a lot to prove. And that mindset helped me stick with the team, and you know, eventually, you know, get other opportunities.
Right. Because, you had that opportunity and you made the best of it. And then you eventually transitioned to San Antonio.
Hmm.
And like you were speaking previously, you were able to play for another great coach. And being there, playing amongst some great Hall of Famers, um, you had already established yourself as being able to play a important role, but I don't think that they actually knew what they were actually getting, because a few times you had been there and then you weren't there, and then you've
Yeah.
been there, and so on and so forth. And I think once they gave you an opportunity, and that's why I try to tell a lot of kids, you want to be in a position where you can get an opportunity to
For sure.
showcase your talent. Once you got your opportunity, I mean, here it is. History is written.
Yeah, man. Like I said, once I was just preparing for that moment, I knew once I got it, I'm gonna run with it. And I had been there previously, and they thought, oh, he's too cool. He's too laid back. And that was always I guess, my stereotype or my, thing in college. Coach Williams, like, you need a sense of urgency. You need to not be more laid back. Everybody,
Right.
obviously, young kids want to think the game is easy, be cool, try to be smooth. No, they want hard-nosed, hard-working guys diving on the floor,
Right.
intense for every possession, and that's how Pop wanted it. And obviously, they make it easier, obviously being Timmy, Tony, and Manu, and just telling you this is what we need from you. But they don't know that until you show what you can do. Um, so
Right.
said and when I was in the D League, I was with Phil Handy, who's my assistant coach now. We won back-to-back rings with amazingly comes full circle. It was his first volunteer job, my first time in the D League, which is now the G League. They didn't have as many teams. We're in Reno. It was pretty cold. You had to find your own ice, go to the grocery store, get your own groceries,
Right.
a team van, and you have to find your own equipment. We only had like 6 or 7 cities we played back-to-back in the same city, like South Dakota, North Dakota. They didn't have cities like New York. The best city might have been Austin.
Right.
But California didn't have any teams all over the world for the D League. So yeah, after that, during those D League days, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get another call up eventually. I'm gonna just keep working my butt off, work sprints every day because you only had a limited time with the gym. So I made
Right.
sure before and after practice, I worked with Phil. Phil had worked on him, but after practice, I would get shots up, I'd run, and just try to perfect my craft. And so once the opportunity comes, I'm gonna be ready and I'm gonna run with it. So and Pop, luckily, thank God, he's the type of coach. He's gonna throw you in the fire regardless. If he signs you, regardless of who you are, it's gonna be a game where he's gonna be like, you go in, whether you're a walk-on, two-way player, whether you're just a signee, just to fill a
Right.
position, he's going to see how locked in you are, just to see mentally where you're at. And it probably going to be in the first quarter.
That's right.
It was the first half, and he's like, Danny. I'm looking down, like, is there another person named Danny here? Because I know he's not calling me.
Hey.
Danny Green, let's go, Green, let's go.
Hey.
Oh, run up to you better run up to that bench and get ready. That was the first time throwing me in, and I
Yeah.
actually had a good stint of like 2 minutes. So like, oh wow, he actually, and that was kind of when I was a little bit more athletic, so I could dunk the ball a little easier. I had like one jumper and a baseline quick dunk. It wasn't like I was jumping high, but I could get to the rim quick. It was like, wow, he actually is intense. He's playing the game, and then after that, then I guess we were losing, and Portland threw me back in again, and we had a nice little run, made a little run again. He's like, okay, then they saw like, all right, this guy could be our energy guy. And then it was like he has really good reflexes. He could be our defensive guy. This is what we need you to do. This is before he thought I could be I could be a decent
Right.
3-point shooter, but they didn't see me as a pure or a good 3-point shooter. We need you to play defense. We need you to guard this guy and play defense. Guarded Monte Ellis, played good enough defense. We're like, all right, this guy can do that for us. So I'm playing 5 minutes, 0 minutes, and 5 minutes and 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, and so on and so forth. And you hit some more shots, and you probably get some more time. But yeah, Pop is the guy. I said he'll give you an opportunity regardless. I said luckily I landed in that situation, in that position, in organization, and playing for a guy like that who actually will throw you into the fire and see where you are. But it started in the D League days, man. The D League of just staying mentally prepared, mentally focused, and just knowing that an opportunity to come, or just hoping, keeping that faith, keeping that hope. And my foundation was a big part of that. But every day, just killing myself until that opportunity came. And when it finally came, I just ran with it, man. And I'm fortunate enough to actually play well during those times. And even if I didn't play well, I played hard. They loved the fact that I had more of a sense of urgency. I wasn't playing too cool. I was diving on the floor, and I was just out there playing hard.
Right. Well, you won a championship down there, but you also play with a great individual that I hold him in high regard. He's actually my best power forward of all time,
For sure.
Timmy D.
Yeah.
How was it with Tim?
Oh man, Timmy, I keep saying back then like it was so long ago. I was fortunate, I'm lucky, man, playing in some great organizations and win championships with guys like that. But it takes a year or two to earn those guys' respect. Obviously, they come in, they embrace you. But back then, I said it wasn't as open, like warming as my later years there. They were more open to when guys came in. They were open. They didn't really, Tony don't really talk to you that much. He was saying, he's like, oh, we don't know how long this guy's, they don't acknowledge you that much. Timmy was a little quiet, but he said at the same time, you don't really talk to many guys unless you're there for some years. Mano will probably do a little more talking, more helping, but still, those guys are all stars at that point. They're doing their own thing. They're professionals. They come in, do their job, and leave. So it takes a year or two to get their respect, earn their respect. Once you get the respect, the greatest guys in the world. Tim was always the greatest guy in the world. He helped talk you through things. He helped encourage you. If he popped through you in the fire, he was going to make sure that, we were going to cover for you. You're going to make some mistakes, but just play hard, have fun, do your thing. But we'll be here. We're here for you. We're here with you. Tony was just like, look, you're gonna have to figure it out. I'm here. If I give you a signal, you better figure it out. You better get the play right, or I'm gonna be on your ass. So I'm like, it's different personalities, man. But Timmy was the greatest, man, the most encouraging guy. He treated you like you were the all-star on the team, and like he was a role player. He would get rebounds, he'd block shots, he'd find you, he'd set screens for you, he's looking for you, and he just became, a very good, brother, which is crazy because I watched Timmy probably in middle school, high school before I got there, and he was always an idol of mine. My uncle was a big Spurs fan, and to go share a locker room with him, to be a brother, man, it's been amazing. See all those guys grow, become dads, fathers, and be in battles with them, and actually win a championship with them. Go to a couple of finals and win a championship with them, man. Is another dream come true as a kid that I could never ever imagine being a part of.
No question. Yeah, Tim's a great guy, man. I hold him in high regard. My sister loves him. She took, he would take pictures with my family when we play each other. My sister always, and he just treated her just stupendous. I mean, he's just an awesome individual. So now you transition and you go to Toronto. It was a brief stay, but it was an impactful stay. And so, tell me about that experience, but then also tell me, about the man that never talks.
He's like a Timmy. He's like a Timmy. Everybody thinks Timmy doesn't talk. Timmy actually talks.
Right.
Kawhi.
Yeah, he does.
Not as much as Timmy, but Kawhi started coming into his own because in San Antonio, we were the younger guys, so we were right. So it took us a while to earn respect. We also didn't have much of a voice when it came to Pop. Timmy or Tony, like nobody has a voice except for Pop, and the other guys that have a little bit of voice are the big three, and they could talk to Pop. Outside of that, we were the younger guys, so we had to earn our keep. And as he got older, Kawhi started coming to his own more. Obviously, he came into a new team where, he's more comfortable around certain guys and they're younger than him, so he can teach them. So it's easy for him to talk. He's experienced it. Everybody's looking at us like, you guys are champions. You guys done it before, so what's the formula? Tell us how to do it. So it was a bittersweet moment when it happened. My time in San Antonio was always home. I loved my organization. I loved the fans there. I loved the people there. I loved my home there when I left. Yeah. But it was time. It was time to move on. It was going through we had a lot of injuries, had some rough go-arounds, rough years, and I had some tough times with Pop at the same time. So we couldn't get back over that hump. I got hurt. So I think in my time there, it was up. So I was excited at the same time. It was bittersweet. Sad that I was leaving a home, but excited to go into a city that I think everybody loves. If you've played in the NBA and you ever got a chance to visit Toronto, everybody knows how lovely Toronto is. So you're like, I get a chance to be, I'll be part of a great city, a country that only has one NBA team. They're all about the Toronto Raptors, and I'm closer to home. New York is right there. It's a 45-minute flight. My family, friends, they can visit me whenever. Obviously, the East is a little colder, but I haven't experienced snow in a long time. I left New York way long ago. So I'm like, all right, I got my dogs. Get a chance to experience some snow this year, first time in a while, and be a fresh start. Now, me and Kawhi, actually, we have some talent. We could lead these guys. We have Kyle, Lowry, Serge, who are almost all defensive team guys. And you got me, Kawhi, Pascal, emergence. We have OG, athletic. And these guys were top in the East before we even got here. So we have a pretty good shot. I think we can make some good things happen. Norman Powell, there's so many great talents there. So we're like, all right, this is an opportunity. This is great, man. So when we got there, we embraced it. We had a lot of fun. Obviously, Kawhi would rather be, I'm sure at the time, be in LA, but I think once he was there, he fell in love with the city. He fell in love with the team. And I think when his decision to leave, it made it tough because of how well they treated him and how well we played as a group. But yeah, the man that never talks, man, he had a lot of fun. He started coming to his own, started, making jokes. He still talks.
Right.
He talks not as much as Timmy, but it's just that they have that stereotype, that thing is just stuck with them, that they're just quiet guys. But he's a comedian, man. And he talks.
Yeah.
I talk to him here and there. But he makes jokes. He has a good time. He has fun. But he is a reserved guy. He stays with his family, stays with his kids. He don't go out much. But when he's with us, and he's on the road, he's just like a normal guy like everybody else. But he started coming to his own and started becoming that leader that,
Who's
I guess,
this guy talking?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, he's becoming that leader. And you see as each game, each quarter of the season, it started to grow where he's like, all right, this is my team now. I'm the old head. I'm the older guy. I'm the star here, and they're looking to me. So me and him, I was the day-to-day guy with the younger guys, just talking them through stuff, learning the little habits. But he was, he did it on action, and then as he got older, later on, he started taking over and understanding what we needed from him. And so we just try to build the habits of the championship habits of the group, and just the hope and the belief in those guys, because that's most of them needed. Kalo. All he needed was some encouragement, some belief in him, and he played a hell of a series. He's been playing a hell of a playoff series since then. But younger guys, teaching them, this is what we need, 50-50 balls. This is what we need. We need the little things. We need to execute.
Yeah.
If you want to win a championship, everybody matters. Every piece counts from 1 to 15 because all those minutes, even the practice players, they matter. They have to help prepare us for these moments. So yeah, we built that culture. We tried to do our best to build that culture up, and it went well, went smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Kyle Lowry fan. I mean, I used to, people give me a bunch of flack because I like him so much, but I love Kyle Lowry because he cares about winning. And I actually had him at NBA camp when he was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And Bob Gibbons and all, we were sitting there talking. Yeah, it was Dwight Howard, Livingston, actually Quentin was there. Quentin.
Quentin Thomas.
Quentin Thomas was there. Yeah, a bunch of those guys were there. And I told Bob Gibbons, I said, that kid right there, the kid from Philly, I said, there's something about him. I said, it was another kid from Philly, I think Singletary. And everybody was on
Sean
Singletary. I said, no, Singletary, yeah. I said, no. I said, the kid, he reminded me of the guy from Boston, Bagley, John Bagley. That's like the little Bagley kid, man. And man, he just destroyed people and competed, man. And I've just always been a fan of his, man. And so when you got there, man, I was just like, hey, man. I was like, man, I said, man, they could win it. And they were like, they ain't got no point guard. I said, they got the best point guard, in my opinion, especially for what you're trying to accomplish.
For sure. Yeah. Kalo's been a bull, and he's just been all heart. And that's why people respect him and love him, because he's not the guy that you don't see the most talented. He's a short, stocky guy. He always reminded me of like a Khalid El-Amin a little bit. People are like, oh, he's stocky, chunky. He's not going to get it done. He's too small. Even though he's small, he got all heart. You try to post him up, he ain't going to let you post him up. He's going to dominate this ball. He's going to do all intangibles. Even though he's an all-star, he's going to take charges. And he became an all-star just by doing intangibles. That's what's crazy. Yeah, like a Kevin Love, the guys that don't have the God-given talent, but become perfectionists at their craft, like a Steph Curry. Those guys aren't the most athletic. They're not the most dunking guys, but they just have a lot of heart. They work on their craft. And I said, he's a Philly boy, so he's a bull. He just come in and try to punk you, and he just comes in and plays hard.
Right. Get the most out of your ability. He
Exactly.
gets the most out of his ability, which I love. Fits us.
For sure.
Danny Green wins the championship and decides to go to LA, baby. What made you go to LA?
I've always been a guy that's always wanted to compete against the best and beat the best.
Gotcha.
So I always loved, Golden State, we can beat them. You know what I'm saying? Bron and AD, they got AD, cool. I still think they need some pieces, you know what I'm saying? Like Toronto, I think we can still get them. You know what I'm saying? So my ideal situation, not saying ideal, but at the time, my mindset was, let's run it back. This team is good enough to beat anybody. Um, but obviously, if that didn't happen, there's other ideal situations out there. So
Right.
once the management said they didn't have the funds to do that, they couldn't bring everybody back. They couldn't afford everybody to come back. I think
Right.
myself and Kawhi knew it was going to be tougher to, I'm saying, to do that. So I knew even if he went back, they were only going to go over the cap for him. And even if they didn't get him, they weren't going to go to cap for anybody else. So I knew that even if he didn't go back, it's going to be tougher for me to say, and obviously we weren't going to be able to win, but it's going to be hard for them to afford everyone to come back. So I was like, all right, well, understandable. We were still waiting on him, but I'm like, all right, if I'm not playing in Toronto, what's the best ideal situations? To win again. And that's always been my career. My career has been about winning. I always wanted to win. It doesn't matter about individual accolades. That's great and all, but where at this point in my career, at this age, where can I go, be efficient, also not too much on the body,
Right.
and be able to win. And obviously, Bron AD, anybody want to play Bron AD.
Right.
I'm like, all right, those two pieces should be easy to play with. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the IQ that Bron has. And they had Rondo at the time too. I was like, they didn't bring him back, but I knew they were going to bring him back. And I'm like, those IQs with Bron, Rondo, and then you have AD just on the block, bigs with JaVale. Any of those guys can block shots, and it's easy to play the defense on the perimeter. It's easy to throw lobs if you get stuck. You get stuck at the rim, just throw a lob up. So I knew once Toronto couldn't go back, I'm like, all right, well, I want to be in a nice warm city to be able to play and be comfortable, but also win. And there was no other place like California, LA. I'm like, all right. I wasn't a big fan of the LA lights, though, the brightness, the magnifying glass. That was never my thing. So I was like, I was kind of, I wouldn't say dreading it, but before I got there, I was never a fan. Also, living in Texas, I was spoiled because of taxes. It's a lot cheaper. You get more of your money. You get more land. I went to school in Carolina. It's a lot cheaper. The hospital people was a lot cheaper in the South. You get more for your money. So living in California, I was like, it's going to be expensive. Like, damn, I wasn't looking forward to that. And I wasn't looking forward to, obviously I love playing under bright lights, but just be every night, just the stipulations, the criticism, the lights, and just the magnifying glass is just so much bigger because of where you are and who you're playing with. It wasn't ideal for me, but I knew that situation was ideal for me to win. So I was like, you know what, this is the best spot. Obviously it's a great city, great weather. And also they offered me a contract that, I couldn't refuse. Everything was a win all around for me. So it was the best move, best situation, the best I was going to get anywhere. And I couldn't say no. So easy decision, very easy decision. I said it was a dream, another dream come true for a kid like myself, to sign that contract and play in a city where greats have played and where greats are going to be. So they made it very easy. Rob Pelinka did an amazing job putting together a great group. Tough year, but even though it's people think playing with Bron AD, all you got to do is this, and that. That's not the scenario. And it's not as easy as it looks. You got to figure out. They do make the game easy, but there are still stipulations where you have to figure out how to make your role, how to make your presence, how to be efficient. And, I think it was an adjustment year for most. Even though we won, I still think a lot of guys are still adjusting to each other, where I think we could be more efficient, even better next year. Looking forward to, another year with them. Hopefully things go right. You never know with the business, but you think, going to a situation, this is going to be easy, but it takes some time just to feel each other out, get used to each other, know what helps, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. And, I'm still figuring that out to this day. And said, hopefully after this year of adjusting, obviously ups and downs, stops, restarts, hopefully a lot smoother next year. But I think I can be way more efficient. I think our team could be way more efficient and even better than we were this past year. If we're able to bring everybody back.
Yeah. I mean, you guys did a good job, and having an opportunity to be in the position that you're in, and moving forward, playing in the bubble. I know the bubble was an extremely difficult environment, but you guys seem to do pretty good in that environment. Could you speak on that environment, and then playing with LeBron? A lot of people want to know, how is it to play with LeBron? Or how did it feel, Danny? Did LeBron say anything to you when you were in the finals and you had the opportunity to knock the shot down?
No.
People want to know those types of things.
For sure.
So, could you elaborate on those for us?
Definitely. you know, Bron, he knows that I've been in this league and he respects me and my game, and that
No
nothing
question.
has to be said on most things. He knows when I make a mistake, we both make a mistake, we look, that's my fault. And usually defensive mistakes. Instead, offensively, shots are going to come and go. But yeah,
That's right.
playing with him is a lot of fun. You're going to get your opportunity to get your shot. There is pressure. There are bright lights. It's a bigger magnifying glass, but he does his best to encourage you and make it easier on you to play with him. He always has faith in his teammates. He has a great memory. He talks. He's very vocal. He knows where guys need to be. He remembers each play that would happen because he studies a lot of film. So yeah, it's a lot of fun playing with Bron. He makes the game easier. He has a very high IQ. Him and Rondo
Right.
talk the game through. We have a lot of guys on our team with high IQ that have been in this league for a long time. Jared Dudley, they break things down to make it simple, but also to encourage you to take the next shot. But the first part of the question, before you asked about Bron, was what was the
Being
first
in
part of
that
the question?
bubble.
Being in the bubble. Yes. So that experience, man, was like no other. And I think you said we did pretty good. I think we didn't do well, even though we won our seeding games. Because we have a lot of guys. Bron's been playing under bright lights since he was 15 years old, 16 years old. A lot of our
Right.
guys are stadium fan pack type of players. You know, that adrenaline, those fans
Right.
help them perform. All those guys,
Right.
Rondo, AD, under the bright lights, that's when they shine. The greater with the fans, we go on the road against certain teams. Doe in Boston, how he was playing against Miami on the road, getting 40, against certain teams. We have a lot of guys, so it's tougher to adjust to that. Mentally, physically, emotionally, was tough. So yeah, us being in the bubble, man, was different. We ended up finding a way. We ended up finding a way to play better. But I think there was times it took us a while to adapt and adjust to it. But mentally draining on you, emotionally, physically, just being in that space, that area for that long. And it said social justice, having to talk, use our platforms, being politicians, which we know is a bigger picture. We want to emphasize that every day we can, but so much to juggle on your plate while being away from your families, and not be able to see them and them not being there to be your support system, which you're used to having as well. So yeah, man, the bubble was tough. But I think if we can win in a bubble, I think we can win anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I think it'd be a lot easier. I wouldn't say easy. It's never easy winning a title, but I think we would have a lot more success. I think we'd be performing better individually and as a group if we've had normal circumstances. And I think the bubble was predicated, and I wouldn't say predicated toward, but it was definitely an advantage for the lower seeds. I think the team that wins in the bubble shows that they were the best team, the most talented team, because it's not even about like, oh, they had home court, or because anybody can win any given night. There is no fans, there is no home court. So that's why you see teams come back, from 3-1 twice. You see teams that are fifth seed, beat up on the teams 4-1 through the East, when normally it doesn't happen because there's home and away games. They might have still won, but they probably wouldn't win 4-1. They wouldn't be sweeping team. You have some home court. You're gonna lose game. One game is gonna go just because of the home court of fans. Usually, you're gonna lose or give a game away.
That's right.
So it was definitely an advantage for the lower seeded team. So for us to still be out on top with no advantage of being home court and having our fans behind us and playing against teams where they're playing free and in a bubble where there's no pressure on younger guys or rookies. We don't know how those rookies or younger guys or certain guys perform under those bright lights with fans on our home court. So it's definitely an advantage for the lower seeds. I said if we can win in a bubble, I feel like we can win anywhere. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy or easier, but I think it'd be a lot different circumstances, less stress, and I think us having home court would definitely make it more exciting, more fun. But we'd have played, I think, better games with our fans behind us. But yeah, the bubble, man, was an experience. Hopefully one we don't have to do ever again. But we made it out, man. And I think we can get back to normal and hopefully even play better basketball in the Staples Center.
Staples Center, yeah. Well, God permitting, that will happen. Now, now on a personal note, during this time, especially, I think it was game 5 or something, the shot that you missed, which, it didn't bother me at all. Because I'm gonna love you. I love you regardless. Whether you're gonna play, make the shot, miss the shot, don't matter to me. I'm gonna go to war for you day in, day out. So it really
I
doesn't matter.
always appreciate you, man.
So,
Always appreciate you.
oh come on, you know that ain't no thing. So one thing that kind of it disappointed me because I played for the Lakers as well, and I know they have great fans. I do not have passionate, great fans similar to our Carolina fans.
For sure.
And so I did find it to be disturbing for me personally because it would be that way for anybody. But when you're talking about my little brother, then it makes it kind of personal. And so, and I really appreciated the way you handled things and the way that you spoke about it. And I think that calm demeanor that most people had issues with before, I think it benefited you in this regard because probably been Shammond.
Yeah.
My demeanor, I would have been a little bit more action,
For sure.
But the threats that you received, you and your fiance received, how was that for you?
I said it because and I've said this before over and over, because I have been criticized all year. I was kind of conditioned to the criticism. So it wasn't a first for me with the criticism. The threats, unfortunately, I've gotten threats before. It's not the first for me either. Last year in Toronto, we played Golden State. When Clay tore his ACL, I went to block a shot. I thought I got it pretty clean, but they called a foul. Yep. I didn't intentionally hurt the guy. But, I went to check on him, make sure he was good. People thought I intentionally hurt him. So Golden State Warrior fans, death threats, anytime you try to injure, that happens before. So I'm not new to it. And I know that LA fans are the greatest. We have the greatest fans in the world, don't get me wrong. Mind you, they are some of the toughest fans to play for. But at the same time, I know that the real fans aren't the ones sending the threats. It was just new for my fiance that she's got. Obviously, she didn't want to make a big deal of it. She didn't want it to be a whole media thing. But she posted something. My podcast guys saw it and were like, "What death threats are you getting? Show us." And then they kind of turned it into an article type thing, and or they made it, not article, but they made it somewhat news. They brought awareness to it. But we know it's fake page. Some people are fake pages. Some people hiding behind the keyboard, not real. I didn't take it seriously. So I've had it before. Obviously, people are emotional about the game. But at that point, I think it made it easier for me to swallow that pill and take the criticism because I said I've gotten it before, but also that game, I don't think I played a bad game as an individual. No. I think as a team that we played not great. We had a lot of mistakes, and that we probably deserved to lose that game. It should have came down to that. We were down the whole game. I was in the game when we made the run to come back. And then I came out with about 5-6 minutes to go. I didn't go back in until the last play. But as a professional, I got to be ready. I got to be ready to go. I had more time, obviously rushed it a little bit. But, it happened. It was a shot, and I just, it was one shot. I said, I don't think I played a bad game that game. But obviously you miss one shot. You're a terrible player. You just had another. But I've been in that position many times before. I've made the shot before. Like I said, I've missed the shot before. It's going to happen. You're going to miss some shots. You're going to make some. Hopefully I get an opportunity again at any point, to be the guy that they still trust me to make those shots. But that's me. And my teammates still had the faith and positive in me. My teammates still believed in me. They still would give me that opportunity many times after that. So that's what matters to me more than anything. I don't really care what the fans thought. As long as my coaching staff, my teammates were behind me, and they didn't feel bad. They said there was nothing to be said. We lost the game, and it wasn't because of the shot. We had made so many mistakes as a group that we needed to be better. We didn't deserve to win that game. Unfortunately, we didn't want to lose in the Mamba jerseys. Unfortunately, we want to lose in Game 5. We'd get out of there sooner. But, after that, we got refocused, put our head down, and said the fastest way to get out of this bubble, we got to be focused and lock in and not, see celebration before we get the job done. So, we refocused, watched film, and, I said it was easy for me to just flush that one shot because the game is even that game. I said because I don't think that it was a terrible game, nor was it a bad shot, nor it was something that was going to define me. And I knew we were up 3-1. I didn't see us as a team. We always bounce back trying to lose 2 games in a row. I didn't see Miami, even after Jimmy playing 47 minutes, they had some injuries, were able to beat us 3 times in a row. So I knew we'd bounce back and play better. And that made it a lot easier for me to flush the whole shot and game as well.
Yeah. Well, for people that don't understand, I look at it like this, and it's a little personal for me. Most people say, well, when y'all went to Toronto, y'all won in Toronto because of Kawhi Leonard.
Hmm.
Okay, that may be true.
For sure.
True.
There's other
To
pieces.
some
You said
regard.
every piece
But
matters.
yeah, but let me tell you what I think. This conversation with Shammond Williams. That's what I
Okay.
tell him. Kawhi ended up going to the Clippers. Danny Green goes to the Lakers. Who wins? The Lakers. Who's the common denominator, ladies and gentlemen? Carolina's Danny Green. Danny Green's the common denominator. So if you want to win a championship, it's best that you get with Danny Green. That's the most important part. That's the most important part.
I like that. I like to tell myself that too sometimes, man. I also say Patrick McCaw is a good luck charm as well. But I like to say good luck charm. But I like to say that Kawhi obviously is a star, and he definitely helped us a ton win that big part of why we won in Toronto. But I tell people, let's not forget Kyle Lowry. He had 36. Fred VanVleet will emerge. Pascal. Every one of those pieces counted and mattered. And no man does it on his own. But you need.
I just got my personal preference.
For sure, and I appreciate that. And I would say, and not just you don't need it. Obviously, Danny Green. I'd love being a part of any organization to win, but you need guys that will do the intangibles. And I just want to be one of those guys that represent. That guys that do the dirty work and don't care about what it shows in the stat sheet. Do the things that don't show up in the stat sheet, but that help you win games. So it could be a Draymond, it could be a Danny. It could be so many guys. A Patrick McCaw, even though in Golden State, in Toronto, he didn't play as much with us. But there's so many other guys, Iguodala, that aren't putting up a bunch of numbers or buckets, but doing the intangibles that help you win championships. Robert Horry, Derek Fisher, those guys help you win championships. So. I just want to be in that conversation, that category of guys that did the intangibles, like a Robert Horry, Derek Fisher, that helped win.
You are, brother. Well, I want to say thank you, man. I want to say thank you for being our first interview on the Carolina Conversation. We're very thankful for having you.
Thank you, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure, man, to be number one on the first person you interview, man. So thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
Number one, man.
It's a true honor, man.
And before you leave, man, tell people where they can find you on your podcast.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to Call to the Booth, because that's my co-host Harrison Sanford. My podcast is Inside the Green Room with Harrison Sanford. I'm Jed Osman. I can't say that he's the brain behind the operation. He makes everything go. He's my producer. But Harrison also does Call to the Booth. Shout out to those guys. But Inside the Green Room is where you can find me. It's Green Room Inside on Twitter. But yeah, you'll see us posting. We're doing a final recap.
Okay.
But good luck, man, with everything, man. This is amazing. This is an honor and a pleasure. I know you have some good guests on, man, but I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the guys join the show.
No question, man. Well, thank you so much, Danny. We appreciate you, man. Love you. Keep it going, baby. And God permitting, we'll get to see you soon, man.
For sure, man. Much love.
This will be the end of our interview with Mr. Danny Green, 3-time NBA champion, Carolina great. And I'm your host, Shammond Williams, signing off for the Carolina Conversation. Thanks.